All right, so we are going to talk about standardized recipes. We're going to cost out a standardized recipe together. Then you're going to cost one out on your own. And then we're going to go over using that standardized recipe and also the edible portion that we talked about last class. Okay, so we're going to create a standardized recipe for this breakfast plate. So, our breakfast plate, if we read through this, our breakfast plate is served with 2 eggs, hash browns, 2 slices of toast, and then we have either bacon or sausage. Okay, so that is our standard recipe: 2 eggs, hash browns, 2 pieces of toast, and bacon or sausage as our choice of protein. Okay. So now what we're going to do is this is what I would love for everybody to write on your notes page. Okay. We're going to go with these in order. So we're going to go with eggs. Okay. And I'm going to write AP to recipe. Okay. Let me check one thing real quick. Okay, good. Make sure we're on the page. So eggs, AP to recipe. With this AP to recipe, this is just I'm very much a visual learner. Okay. I'm very much be able to see where my starting point is to where I need to go. So the R stands for recipe. I just abbreviate it with R. And the AP is the as purchased. Okay. So if my recipe is 2 eggs and it says a case of eggs is $38. Okay. So my recipe is 2 eggs and my as purchased is $38 per 30 dozen eggs. Okay. So my question to you, the first question you want to ask once you're all set up, underline our units. Do our units match? Yes, no? No, they don't match, right? Dozen and eggs. Now, can we convert in some way? How many eggs are in a dozen? 12 eggs, right? So if we multiply by 12 eggs, well, that 30 dozen, that actually equals 360 eggs. Now, do our units match?
Yes.
Eggs and eggs, right? So our first step is to identify, do our units match? If they do, great. If not, we have to convert in some way, okay? The second step is we have to get down to the cost of 1 egg or 1 unit, okay? We have this cost per unit. What does that word per represent? What mathematical function? Division. Good. So just draw a line right through that word per. This helps students visualize what's going to be put into the calculator, right? 38 per $38 per 360 eggs. And that's going to help you identify. So sometimes students get the numbers mixed up, right? They'll do 360 divided by 38. They're not sure which number goes where. But if you go from top to bottom, 38 cost per unit. And then just draw that division line right through the word per. That's a little side note. Awesome. Okay. So when we take $38 and divide by 360 eggs, I'm going to actually do that right here. So this divided by 360 eggs. This is going to equal 0.105 repeating. Okay. What does that represent? What does that mean? What is the unit? I'll give you a hint. It represents what? Money. Okay. So when we represent money, how many decimal places do we have? Two decimal places. 1 and 2. Okay. The only time, everyone put your pencils down for a second, look at me. The only time that we leave it at exactly 2, like in this case, exactly 10 cents, is when it is only 2 numbers. Okay. If there is a third number, if there's a third decimal, we are automatically going to round that up to the nearest penny. So from 10 cents, we round it up to 11 cents. Because this number right here, that essentially means half of a penny, right? At that 0.5 after the penny is essentially half of a penny. And so if we add this stuff up over and over and over again, eventually those pennies will add up. So to counteract that, we're going to go ahead and just round up to the nearest penny. Okay. Now this number could be, I'm going to do it in a different color so you can see it. This number could be 0.10000004, and we would still round it up to 11 cents. Okay. We'd still round it up to 11 cents. Any questions about that? Cool. You're going to get lots of practice with your project. All right. So this is 11 cents per egg. 11 cents per egg. And we multiply it by our recipe amount of 2 eggs. And what is our total cost for eggs? 2 cents. So we come up here and we do 22 cents. So the standard portion for eggs costs 22 cents. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. What's the next ingredient? Hash browns. What I like to do is I like to go different colors on my notes so that way it distinguishes and differentiates between the two. So my hash browns, I do AP to recipe. My recipe says an order of hash browns is half of a potato. So half of a potato. And my as purchased is a case of 50 potatoes is $47. So I would say $47 per 50 potatoes. All right, do my units match? Potato, potato, we're good. So that means we're all set. Now we have to do what? Get down to the cost of 1 potato. So how do we get down to the cost of 1 potato? We paid 47 for 50. So we're going to take 47 and divide by 50 potatoes. That will give me my cost, 47 divided by 50, of 94 cents per potato. You see how it's exactly 94 cents? Right? Exactly 2 decimal places. We leave it alone. It stays 94 cents. Okay? And that's per potato. So now what's the serving size is half of a potato. So how do we find the cost?
Divide by 2.
We can divide by 2. You could also multiply by 0.5, right? If you want to change that to a decimal. But since we know half is half, let's just divide by 2. So 94 cents divided by 2 is 47 cents. So we come up to the top and we add our 47 cents for hash browns. All right, let's do toast next. We start with AP to recipe. My as purchased for bread, a loaf of bread is 24 slices. That's $1.86. And my serving size is 2 slices. So $1.86 for 24 slices. My recipe is 2 slices. What's my first question? Do my units match? Do they? Yes, awesome. That's an easy one. Now we get to the cost of 1 slice. So we divide $1.86 by 24 slices. What is our cost per slice?
8 cents.
All right, 0.775. You will often see me do this symbol with the lines and the arrow. That is a symbol meaning that I'm going to convert this number to 8 cents per slice. So when you see that symbol with the arrow, the 2 lines and then the arrow in the front, that's just basically saying this number is moving to become this number. We multiply by 2 slices, which is our serving size. And we get what? 16 cents. Perfect. So let's add it up here. So I'm going to pause for a moment. And I'm going to add these 3 numbers up. Because the only difference in my plates are whether it's sausage or bacon. Every plate's going to have eggs, potatoes, and toast. So I'm going to go ahead and add those numbers up right now. So what is 6 plus 7? 13 plus 2 is 5, 15, carry the 1, 4, 6, 7, 8, 85 cents. Do we all agree? Okay, so 85 cents is the cost of those 3 ingredients. And now let's talk about bacon and sausage. Okay. I want you to choose either bacon or sausage, okay? And I want you to try to see if you can find the serving cost, the serving size cost for bacon or sausage. Try it on your own, okay? I'm going to highlight in blue the bacon, 12 strips of bacon, and sausage is $2.85 per pound with 20 links per pound, okay? So I want you to try to calculate that, and then we'll come back together. If you're online, you can put your answer for the cost of bacon or sausage in the chat. Right. So let's look at our bacon. Go back to pen. Let's go green. Bacon. Okay. AP to recipe. What did you guys get for your cost for bacon? Anybody do bacon? You all went to sausage. You did bacon, Cherokee? What'd you get? Okay, so 0.64. I think I saw online 0.66. Let's look at it. So we do $3.85 divided by 12 strips gives me 32, right? So sorry, 385. Let me write it out for you. 385 divided by 1 pound. But we know this 1 pound is equal to 12 strips. That's going to help us get to the same units. And so we divide by 12. And we get 0.0, or sorry, not 0.0. We get 3208. So we're talking about money. Remember, doesn't matter, whatever this number is, we're going to always round up to the nearest penny. Okay, so this is actually going to become 33 cents per strip. And then multiply by 2, so 66 cents is the correct answer. Okay, 66 cents is the correct answer for bacon. All right, sausage, what y'all get?
15 cents per link. And
15 cents per link.
30 for
So 30 for the total cost. Good. So we have bacon at 66 cents plus the 85. We have sausage at 30 cents. That is correct. Plus the 85. So what is that? 11, $1.51 for the bacon. And what about the sausage?
$1.
$1.15. There we go, 15. Yep, $1.15. Perfect. Awesome. So this bacon plate cost me $1.51 to make. The sausage plate cost me $1.15 to make. If I were to cost out what I should sell this for, which number should I use to figure out which one I'm going to sell it for? How much I'm going to sell this for? Would I use the bacon or would I use the sausage? Why do you think bacon?
Because it's the higher.
Higher.
Exactly, it's the higher cost, right? So if I sell a bacon and I sell it for $6.95, well, at least my cost has been covered. But if I sell a sausage, then that means I get a little bit more profit, right? About 30 cents more per sausage plate. And so we always want to go with that higher price. If you're going to keep one flat price, you want to cost out your two recipes, and whatever's the highest, that's what you want to go with to make sure all your costs are covered. Okay. So let's do another practice. Those of you who are online, let's get you your cost of the cupcake. There we go. There we go. Okay. So those of you who are online, you can go ahead and get started. Everybody else, I'm going to pass out your papers. I'm going to pause the recording for right now. When we come back to it, please someone make sure I start recording again. All right, so the answers are up on the board. If you want to take a look and check your own work. So we've got 66 cents for the cupcakes. Remember, this one we had to round up to 36 cents, right? Because it was 0.35 and some other numbers. The other thing that a lot of students forget is they forget to multiply by the 2 ounces because everything else in our recipe is just one item. And so oftentimes students will forget to multiply by 2. That's why it's helpful to do the AP to recipe because it reminds you of your recipe quantity. Okay. The other error I see on the frosting side is that somebody will divide $6.80 by 4 and get $1.70, and they'll call it $1.70 per ounce. Well, no, it's actually $1.70 per pound, and then our units still don't match, so then we have to go back and reduce even further. All right. And then the food cost percentage on the bottom. We sell our cupcakes for $16.50. 30 cupcakes. Well, since this is the selling price of 30, we have to get the cost of 30. So 66 times 30 is $19.80. What do you see that's wrong right off the bat? We're losing profit, right? It's cost us more money than what we're selling it for. Okay. Do businesses do this?
They better not.
Okay. This is what we are called a loss leader. A loss leader, meaning we are intentionally selling it at a loss. Okay. So I get these cupcakes from Sam's. Do you think I'm going into Sam's just for those cupcakes? I'm going to Sam's to get the cupcakes. Do you think I leave with just the cupcakes?
No.
No. Same thing with their rotisserie chickens, right? Their rotisserie chickens are what, like $5?
Pretty cheap.
$4.95, I think. Costco, Sam's. It costs them more money to make that rotisserie chicken than it does what they sell it. They are intentionally doing that. They bring you in, they entice you to come in and get that rotisserie chicken for $5. But then, oh yeah, by the way, I'm also going to pick up some produce. I'm also going to pick up some dairy. Maybe I'm going to pick up some other stuff along the way. Or, oh my gosh, those shirts look really cool. I'm going to go buy a shirt as well. Or those snacks. Or as you walk in, oh my gosh, there's a new TV. That looks beautiful. I need a new TV. So you walk in for a $5 chicken and you walk out with a TV, right? I don't know if that's the case or not, but it may not be that dramatic. But that's what we call in the industry, it's called a loss leader. So there are some things that we intentionally price so we attract people to come in.
And go to the back of the store.
Go to the back of the store. That's why milk is at the back of the grocery store, because you have to go back to get the milk, but you have to pass all that other stuff to get to the milk, right? One of the most popular, what I think of as a loss leader. Have you ever seen, like, as you're driving or for breakfast, your favorite breakfast taco place? It's like 3 tacos for $3 and like before 10 o'clock in the morning, or like 3 tacos for $4 before 10 o'clock, right? They're trying to get you in there when it's not so busy. And so then you get those tacos and you're like, yeah, this is a really good spot. The next time you think about going somewhere for lunch, you might go there for lunch and that might be a loss leader. But are you going to buy just the tacos? You might buy a cup of coffee, you might buy a soda, right? So they'll get that profit in a different way, but they bring you in with that loss leader mentality. Okay? Any questions, comments, concerns? All right. The last thing that we're going to cover. Let me close this. Don't save. All right.
So you started recording, right?
I am recording. Yes. Thank you so much, Jan, for asking. All right. So if you are online in Canvas, in week 3 module, or module 3, Jessica, Jasmine, Omar, any of y'all come in? I don't think so. No. Okay. So in module 3, if you're online, you are going to see module 3, brisket math numbers. So go ahead while I pass out the handouts in class, go ahead and open that up because that's what we're going to be using for this next part. Hopefully I have enough. I should.
What did she say to you? Because,
So
was it when you guys were wrong, it's just?
it's whenever Ray, he just wanted to start doing dishes because we weren't doing barely anything yet. But then right when the dishes started coming in. she
Look
was
at that, I have one left.
Woo! We're watching hot.
Perfect.
She got-
All right, so those of y'all who are in person, great. If you're on online, that's okay as well. You can pull this up and you can take a look at it.
This is just never dish.
What I would like you to do, I intentionally left space in between, a large amount of space in between each of the numbers, okay? Now, the reason why I did that is because if you want to, you can draw an imaginary line and basically cut your section into half, okay? You don't have to draw a line if you don't want to, but above this line, I'm going to give you the formulas. Everything written out, okay? No numbers, well, not numbers from the problem, but just no, like pretty much all words, okay? And then right below it, we're going to work it out so you can see where the numbers come from. Okay? That way, when you pass through the magical force field, which is the door to our classroom, and it magically wipes your memory clean of everything we talked about for the last hour and a half, you'll get home and you'll be able to see where all these numbers come from. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns? Because this is the last 8 questions of your chapter 3 quiz. It's exactly the same problem, just different numbers. Okay? Just different numbers. All right. So let's start. And I want you to write the formulas exactly like I write them. Okay? So how many portions are in a 12-pound brisket? Okay? So we're going to take the brisket weight. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so I can write. We're going to take the brisket weight and we are going to multiply it by the yield factor percentage. That will give us our edible portion in pounds. Then we are going to multiply by 16 ounces, and I'll tell you why in just a moment when we go through. Okay, multiply by 16 ounces, and this will give you your edible portion in ounces. And then lastly, we're going to divide by the serving size. All right, so just straight through brisket weight times the yield factor. That's going to tell us how much product we have left over that we can actually serve. Okay, so now let's actually put it into numbers. 12 pounds, this is my brisket weight, times the yield factor of 0.55. 12 pounds times the yield factor of 0.55, which is 55%, gives me 6.6 pounds. So I start with 12 pounds. After I trim it, I smoke it, all that kind of stuff, I end up with 6.6 pounds left over. Okay. That is my edible portion in pounds. Now I'm going to multiply by 16. Why? It's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Because our serving size is in ounces. We serve 6 ounces. So I can't divide 6.6 divided by 6 because that's 6.6 pounds divided by 6 ounces. The units don't match. We have to make the units match. And so by multiplying by 16 ounces, how many ounces are in 6.6 pounds?
105.6.
105.6. And now, because my units match, I can divide by my 6-ounce serving size. And I get 17.6 servings. Can I round this up to 18? What do you think? Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no. Can I round this up to 18? No, why?
Cause it's meat.
Can't serve half a portion.
I can't create brisket out of nothing, right? So I can drop it down to 17, or I can leave it at 17.6, okay? When you do your homework for chapter 3 quiz, I have done the math for both ways. The whole number, dropping it down to the whole number, or using the decimal. Because in reality, how many times do you think you're only going to smoke one brisket? Pretty rarely. So when you purchase more briskets, right, you put 2 together, that 0.6 and 0.6, they make a whole serving, right? And so you can keep it at that 0.6, that decimal, if you want to. So 17.6 servings is what we'll get. That's our final answer for question number 1. Questions about how we got there? It's crucial that we use that yield factor. Why? What is that yield factor percentage? What does that mean?
Yeah.
How much was usable?
The edible yield, that yield factor percentage will tell us how much we're going to lose in process, and so how much we actually have left over to eat. Okay? If we don't apply that edible yield factor, then we're going to get all these servings, but then when we actually make it, we'll have less servings. Okay? So how much money in sales should we expect to bring in from a 12-pound brisket? All right, here we go. This is the formula. This is the selling price times the number of servings. The answer from number 1. Okay. So how much do we sell our brisket for?
$16.95.
$16.95. It's up there at the top. Multiplied by 17.6 servings. $298.32. So at the end of the day, as I sold all my brisket, I should have about $298 in my register in cash. Okay. What is the portion cost? The portion cost, how we figure that out is we take the AP cost times the brisket weight. And that's going to give us our AP cost.
Percent?
Not a percent, not yet. So that's our AP cost. That's how much it costs us to buy that brisket. Okay. So think about it. You go to HEB, right? And you buy a package of chicken. Is every package of chicken the same amount of weight? No, but they all have the same price, right? All the ones that are the same kind, the same brand, have the same price. They're all $2.50 per pound. One might be 4 pounds, one might be 3.8 pounds, one might be 3.7 pounds, right? So that cost is going to vary based on that. So then we're going to divide by the number of servings. That's going to give us our cost. Remember, costs per servings. That word per represents what mathematic formula or function? Division. So cost per servings. So now let's put it into practice. We have an AP cost of $2.50 times 12 pounds gives me $30. And then we divide that by our 17.6 servings. Bless you. All right, we get 1.7045. 1.7045. So what was this going to round up to?
1.71.
$1.71. That's my cost per serving. There's some other long drawn out formula that converts pounds and ounces and all this crazy stuff. No, don't do it that way. We know it has 17.6 servings in a 12-pound brisket. So just take your cost times your brisket weight and divide it by the number of servings you get. That's the answer from number 1. All right, last one. 1, 2, 3, 4 are all together. 5, 6, 7, 8 are all together. Okay. So last one in this series. What is the food cost percentage of the 12-pound brisket? So we're going to use our triangle. Bless you. Cost divided by sales. We're looking for the percentage. So my cost is $1.71. I'm going to draw an arrow and point it right there. And then I'm going to divide it by my selling price. I sell it for $16.95. Excuse me. I'm going to put this arrow right here. And when I do my math, 1.71 divided by 16.95, I get 1.1008. Okay. So that's, let's do that. 0.1008. I move my decimal place over 2, so I get 10.08, which is rounded up to 10.1%. 10.1%. In addition to our notes page about the breakfast plate, I will also post this one that's color coded on the recorded modules, recorded lectures module as well. Okay, when it's all color coded. Any questions about 1 through 4 and how we got any one of those problems? How we solve any one of those problems? All right, so now let's take a look at questions 5 through 8. Chris books a party for 250 people. They're all having brisket. How many total pounds does he need to purchase for the party? So we are looking for the AP. We're looking for the AP. So we start with the number of servings times the serving size. That is equal to our edible portion in ounces. So if I have my triangle, oh, sorry if this is Word. Let's see. Fix that. So if I have my triangle right here, remember edible portions on top, as purchases on the bottom, and the percentage is on the bottom as well. If I'm looking for AP, what do? Cover it up, and what's left over? AP divided by the yield factor percentage. Okay? That is crucial that you do it at this step right here. Because I see students make the mistake. They'll convert those ounces to pounds, and then they'll think, oh, I'm already in pounds, I'm done. But then they haven't applied the yield factor. So I always encourage you to apply the yield factor and then convert it into pounds. So that's going to give us our edible portion in pounds. No, sorry. Yeah, that's going to be an edible portion in pounds. And then since we're trying to find the AP, we're going to then divide by our yield, no, our 16 ounces. Sorry, hold on. Hopefully you're using pencil. This is our edible portion in ounces. And now we divide by 16 ounces to get our as purchased in pounds. Sorry. So now let's put some numbers to it. We have 250 servings. We're going to multiply that by 6 ounces, and that is equal to what?
1,500 ounces.
1,500 ounces. Do we all agree? Yep, that's right. 1,500 ounces. And then we're going to divide by 0.55. And that's going to give us a really weird number. That's right. It's 2727.27 repeating. Do I call up Cisco or Benny Keith and say, hey, I need 2,700 ounces of brisket? No, we order it by the pound. So that's why we're going to come over here and we're going to divide by 16 ounces. So we take that same number, divide by 16, and we get 170.45 pounds. So in order for me to feed 250 people, I need to have 170.45 pounds. Start with. So what is the total cost of the brisket? So we take our AP cost, this one's super simple, times the total weight. So in this case, our AP cost is $2.50 per pound. We multiply it by 170.45 pounds. $426.13. It's going to cost me, or cost Chris, $426.13 to buy all the brisket for 250 people.
Those great parties.
Now, he wants to make sure there's enough for 10% over. We've all been to parties where people don't RSVP, but they show up anyways, right? So we, as caterers, we always want to make sure it's called our safety factor, okay? And so we want to do a 10% safety factor. Do y'all remember how to increase something by 10%? Back to chapter 2.
Yes.
So we start with 170 pounds, 170.45 pounds. How do we increase by 10%? Okay, yeah, so what is 10% of 170.45? So we multiply by 0.1. And we get 70.05. That's the 10%. And now let's add it back to our original number. So my new number is 187.5 pounds. That's my 10% over. And number 8, how much will it cost him to buy the brisket? So we repeat number 6. I'm going to write this, repeat number 6. Okay. So $2.50 per pound, official, times 187.5 pounds. Is $468.50. Add my dollar sign. Oh, sorry, 75 cents. I apologize. All right, any questions about any of these problems? Yeah, Brianna.
Times 16. To number.
Oh, no, it's per pound. Let me clean that up. All right, so if you look in the chapter 3, the chapter 3 quiz, you're going to want to download this brisket math page, okay? This time we're looking at a 15-pound brisket. We also have a 45% yield. The serving size is still 6 ounces. And then there's also, it'll tell you how much the price per pound is, okay? So same formulas, just different numbers, okay? In this, let's see if I can find it. There we go. Nice file preview. If you need a refresher and you don't want to go through all the math that we did today, this is a brisket math video and it's just brisket math, okay? So you don't have to go find the video that we did today and try to find it where we talked about brisket. This is there in the description of the homework, okay? Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you on Tuesday.